change it. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more.
I wanted to share this story with you because I love this idea. One of the things when I was a minister of a church, because I spent a lot of time with people coming to me for advice, talking about issues in their life. The reason my mind snapped just then was I realized that I was coaching. That's really what I was doing, was coaching within a spiritual context. And if people would come to me and they were stuck in a situation or unhappy about something, one of the things I always like to say is, if you could wave a magic wand, how would you change it? What would be your wish? Your one wish. Today is Thursday. I love Thursdays because Thursday is when Brian, my prayer partner, and I get together and we catch up. And at the end we each take about 20 minutes talking about everything that's going on in our lives, our personal lives, our health, our business, our finances, etc. And then we distill it into one single, this is what I would like help, guidance, or support with. This is my prayer. I find that often our discord in our life is because we are, as we talked about yesterday, measuring the distance between what we have and what we want, rather than measuring the distance from what we might want and what we currently have. In other words, being grateful for what we already have. So I would often ask people, all right, if you could wave a magic wand, how would you see it? And I wanted to share that with you. What inspired me to share this is I was at my daughter's this last week, a couple of days ago, as I've shared with you. And she and her husband have magic wands from Harry Potter. Wait a minute, Teddy's decided he's no longer upset. Come on, let's go. Oh, I know what he came to tell me. He came to tell me he ate his breakfast, which means he gets a treat. All right. So, Teddy, you get to sit here and say hello to everybody, and we're going to talk about magic wands. Whoops, there's a Teddy burp right into the microphone. Okay. That's how he lets me know he ate his breakfast. When he eats his breakfast, then he gets a treat. So, when we were at Universal Studios, which is very heavy on Harry Potter now, and I was not into Harry Potter, but I love what they've done. It's so fun. And the thing that people do is they buy magic wands that represent or that look like the ones from the movies. And one of the things that's super cool is they actually have certain parts of the park that react to these magic wands. So, for example, there are two types. One are the types that make things happen. The other ones are just souvenirs. If you take the one that makes things happen, you can point at a store window and a dress will flutter, or you can point at another store window and the lights will turn on, or something like that. It's really cool to watch kids feel like they're actually having magic. And I think so often we wait for magic in our lives rather than creating our own magic. Number one, the one thing I do know about Harry Potter is that you've got to say the right incantation. You've got to say the right spell. It's got to be focused on the thing you really want. And most people are not really sure about what it is they really want. And this idea of, if I gave you a magic wand and I said, okay, pick something in your life and you can wave the magic wand and change it, what would that even look like? We get caught in the problem. We get caught in the situation. And one of the things that our mind tries to do so that we won't lament this forever is it tells us, you know what, this is probably going to last forever, so get used to it. Which is actually not helpful at all, because that limits our capacity to look beyond the problem and to make a decision of what we want. So if I was to give you a magic wand today, what is it that you would like to change in your life? What would you like to do? And can you see what it would be like? Can you begin to hold that image in your mind? In one of my books, I think it's Happy This Year, it may be A Complaint Free World, I write about the fact that the word abracadabra actually comes from two ancient Arabic words, Kadibra, something like that. Anyway, what it means is as you speak it, it is true. So abracadabra literally means as you speak it, it is true. And that reminds me of the power of our voices as we begin to talk about what it is we want rather than what it is we don't want. One of the questions people who get to know me love to ask is how in the world did you get to meet Maya Angelou? More importantly, get her to allow you to use your interview as a forward for your book. That's just not stuff that she did. And what I did was I put a picture of Maya Angelou on my vision board right in front of me. So I had my magic wand. I knew exactly what it was I wanted. But then, and more importantly, I went around and literally started telling people that I was going to give the 6 millionth, at that point, we're over 14 million now, complaint free bracelets, but I was going to give the 6 millionth complaint free bracelet to Maya Angelou. Now, I didn't say I wanted to. I didn't say I hoped to. I didn't say if luck prevails, I'm going to. I simply said, I'm going to. So much so that when I shared this with my therapist at the time, she said, "Really, you're gonna meet Maya Angelou? When's it gonna happen? Blah 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 blah." She started pressing me for details, and I said, "Well, I don't have any details. I just believe it 100%." And she said, "You shouldn't tell people things that aren't true." And I was like, "Well, it's not going to be true until I tell the world it's going to be true." And of course, the story is that I was actually at a conference, ran into a friend of mine, told her that as I was telling everybody that I was going to give the 6 millionth bracelet to Maya Angelou. And she said, "Tell her I said hi," just very casually. And we come to find out she knew her, she used to book her. So, abracadabra, with your words, it is so. Today, let's think about the magic in our lives. I think one of the challenges with religion is that we often pray and we ask God to manipulate the magic in our lives to fall in the favor of the direction we want. And as the Quakers say, it is vital for you to put feet beneath your prayers. Most people just know they're discontent. They don't know exactly what their prayer is or would be, number one. And number two, they don't then to begin to speak to themselves and others as if it's a fait accompli. It's not easy, but we've got to know where it is we want to go and how we want to get there. I'm reading the book Will, Will Smith's book. By the way, his name is Willard. My name is William. But we both go by Will. And he talks about the fact that he doesn't believe it's a mistake that his name is Will. And I don't either. I think that I will. When I say I'm going to do something, I will. And I do. And he talks about traveling with some of the great rap stars back in the 80s. And a lot of them have lapsed off into obscurity, is the word I'm looking for. They've lapsed into obscurity. And he says it wasn't that they didn't have talent. They just didn't have a vision. In other words, once they had that first number one hit or whatever, they didn't see where they were going to go next, and then next, and then next. And that's what we have to do if we want to achieve or accomplish more. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, Quincy Jones was the reason that Will Smith got the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He threw a party, had a bunch of television executives there, invited Will Smith, and basically pitched the idea to Will Smith's surprise on the spot. And to his credit, Will Smith asked for a month to prepare. And he says, "No, I'm not going to get all these executives back again in a month. They're here. This is your chance. This is your shot." And Will Smith gave it his very best shot and, of course, ended up with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, he and Quincy Jones later talked about that and about how most people would have shied away from that or not done it. And They also talked about how when things start going really, really well, a lot of people can destroy it in their professional lives. And Quincy Jones has seen it hundreds of times. And here's the term he uses. I love this. You ready? Altitude sickness. It's altitude sickness. They get too high, things start going too well. And so they start literally getting sick and messing their lives up and getting back down to a level where they don't feel like that is out of their reach. Boy, I can relate to that, I hate to say. And I'm working on it. So, where do you want to go? If I gave you a magic wand, what would you do with it? Think about it. And that tells you this is something that I want. And so then begin to speak positively to yourself and others about it. Pretty soon, abracadabra, as you say it, it is so.
No more, no more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining people.